The Mekong River Basin is considered the most important river basin in the Upper ASEAN region, as resources from Mekong River are shared by 6 countries, namely China, Myanmar, Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam.
But conflicts among these countries have been gradually emerged, particularly from the construction of the dams in the upper Mekong River, such as, of course, the Srey Dam, which is the first dam of the 11 cascade of these dams. So now let's see what representatives from some of these countries think about the use of hydrodiplomacy, whether it will help reduce the conflicts in the region.
I think there is a lot of hydrodiplomacy ongoing in this context of the Srey specifically. We know that there are concerns expressed by Cambodia and Vietnam. There has obviously been discussions between governments to express these concerns. There has obviously been a lot of diplomatic approaches in terms of addressing these concerns. The Lao government has, since 2011, engaged consultants and others to try to address the key concerns, addressing sediment transport, addressing fish migration and navigation. Now, whether those concerns have been addressed adequately from the point of view of the Cambodian and the Vietnamese constituency is something that has to be negotiated and discussed. So I think certainly you can say that in the context of hydrodiplomacy, there's been a lot of action ongoing.
It's not such easy. Hydrodiplomacy or more negotiations between countries in the region is very important. We need to find a good solution. It's more discussion, more debating than fighting for the water, especially in the situation of water stress right now in the region. However, to do so, there are many challenges. There are many things need to be done in prior, especially to prepare for application of initiatives like hydrodiplomacies in the regions. In Vietnam, I think first of all we have to prepare a good environment for application of hydrodiplomacies, especially enhance the voice of civil society to have more collective ideas and before enter such kind of initiatives where we have more collective ideas and voice and thinkings from the different groups. And it's most important. Of course, there are many other things also needed. Data availabilities, data sharings, and understanding of the data or interpretation of the data in the same way is also very important. And first of all the countries had to come together with the contributive ideas. Otherwise, we cannot talk together, we cannot work together for better futures. Hydrodiplomacy, I think that can contribute to that in some extent. However, it's need on the country from the upstream countries, Laos, and the other country downstream, Vietnam and Cambodia, need to go together to see see exactly what the costs and benefits, and if necessary, I think some kind of compensation trade-off should be applied. We cannot go to the negotiation with fixed positions in mind from the different governments, different countries. If we have we come with a contributive sense, this will help us to go forward for a better solution, a win-win solution for all countries.
I think it's the right time that we have this kind of we call hydro diplomacy international conference because we can share an idea because with the especially for transboundary water management as a country are sharing the utilization of the water of Mekong. We as a country, we have cooperate and work very well with the other country in the lower Mekong region, and this not new for us. I mean, we have worked for quite a long period, and we keep working on this with the other country. I mean, especially for the lower Mekong region, and we are sharing the same water, and so we are like brother and sister. So sharing the benefit from the utilization of this water is quite crucial for us, because we know that in the Mekong Agreement we always talking about sustainable use of the water resource of Mekong. So to keep working together and continue to work for the sustainable management of the resource is crucial for the lower Mekong.
This hydro diplomacy is very important because you know the water is essential for the living things. To implement the hydro diplomacy rule, we have to do the cooperation each other. So I hope the cooperation is very important to implement the diplomacy principle or some procedures.
Bangladesh and India have some of the most intricate, complex river systems in the world. Now it's time to learn from their experience.
So we have success stories in what can be now called hydro diplomacy, but we also have difficulties, and they are continuing difficulties. But there is no doubt, and there are no two views on the subject, that discussions and negotiations between states, between countries and neighbors is the only way to resolve issues pertaining to the sharing of river waters. But before hydro diplomacy between two countries, there has to be a lot of preparation within the country, within the stakeholders inside country, because an agreement between two countries will be meaningless unless it can be implemented on the ground, and the ground is always home ground.
Right. You mentioned about 5 initiatives in your keynote speech. Could you give me some elaboration on that?
Well, I'll just give you the essence of it. The world is made up of sovereign states, and each state has rivers and river basins and floodplains and groundwater. It has sovereign powers over those water resources. But since many of these resources are cross-border and international, there has to be something like a new awareness of the imperatives of sharing water resources. For that, without in any way affecting existing sovereign boundaries or sovereign powers, a new hydrocartography has to be thought of, which does not supplant any borders, but supplements, complements and strengthens those very borders by eliminating friction between countries on the subject of river waters and also other water resources. So there has to be, I suggested, new hydro imagination in the world, and that will be helped if the United Nations were to make water resources, and water indeed, water itself, a planetal resource. It declares sites as heritage sites. I think it should be able to declare water as a global resource which has to be protected, preserved through existing laws and new laws if possible. Diplomacy, diplomatic negotiations are one of many instruments which have to be used to address river issues, especially when river issues straddle more than one country, 2, 3, sometimes 5, 6 countries. But we should not elevate hydro diplomacy to a role which is above its due station. Hydro diplomacy is one instrument, one tool, and a major one to use. But what is required is a hydro instinct and a hydro ethic. and what ultimately should be called a hydrophilosophy for the planet.
And that wraps up today's edition of Tours 2015. You can watch us again every weekday from 3:30 to 4 p.m. on the Nation channel.
Thank you for watching us สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ